This particular conversation, we'll be having Mr. Bola Bolawole, a journalist and a political observer, with us in the studio to take us through some of the issues raised after the convention of the African Democratic Congress. It's a pleasure to have you.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Okay, so against all odds, the ADC had its convention on Tuesday, and every weapon fashioned against them did not succeed. They were able to have it. Whether it was authentic or not is another question entirely. But what do you make of the just concluded convention of the African Democratic Congress?
Yeah, thank you very much. Like you said, they had quote and unquote successful convention. Whether the convention is legal or illegal is another thing entirely. That is for the courts to decide. But they were able to hold the convention, and they said that they have fulfilled the constitutional requirements, the requirements of the Electoral Act, and the guidelines set by INEC, even though INEC was not there. And they have said before now that the Constitution did not, Electoral Act did not mandate that INEC should be there. That if they feel like being there, it is not compulsory. So they have said that before. So whether that is the position of the law or otherwise, we will see as time goes on. And of course, we also see that a faction of the ADC has mugged the faction that held the convention, and they are preparing for their own convention. The Gombe man that took them to court is preparing for his own faction's convention. So we still don't know how many conventions of the ADC we are going to have. We have had one. Another one is in the offing. It remains to be seen whether they will be able to put their house in order. Don't forget that it was this similar problem that the PDP had. When the PDP broke into factions, you have the faction led by Makinde, the other faction led by Wike, and how they went to court. And the judge advised them to go and put their house in order. That the way they were going, it's not as if, it doesn't appear as if everything was going to work out well for them. I think it is the same trajectory that the ADC is treading now. We have factions, we have somebody, one of their members in the National Assembly, who says that as the highest ranking national officer of the party, supposed to be the national leader of the party. We have Gombe.
That's the man from Kogi, Abejide.
Yes, Abejide said he's supposed to be the national leader of the party. And how can the party change leadership without his being involved? And then we have the man who was the national deputy chairman, who said that if the chairman resigns, he's supposed to be the one to take over. So we have all these issues at the moment. But like you have said, they have held their convention, and we are waiting for the aftermath of that convention.
Okay, so what are your fears for this party as we approach the 2027 general elections? Like you rightly pointed out just now, we have a particular faction of the party led by former Senate President David Mark, another one by Kachuku, and the other one by Gombe. And I read earlier after the convention, or I watched on TV rather, when David Mark spoke and expelled the likes of Abejide, Gombe, Kachuku, and a host of others for anti-party activities. Time is ticking, and the timetable is already out. So what are your fears for this party as we approach another round of elections in the country with the situation that they have found themselves?
We have had expulsions and counter-expulsions. The David Mark faction of ADC expelled some people. The people who were expelled also expelled, fired back and expelled David Mark. So it is if you dabble me, I tackle you. So it's becoming a very, very sad spectacle. What we can say actually is that when the politicians of stature, politicians of no mean means, people who had held office as vice president, as governors, as senate presidents, when they decided to move into a political party, did they do due diligence? Did they do their homework well? And did they follow procedure? Were they too much in a hurry that they went to buy a product that has turned out to be, that may turn out to be counterfeit? Did they study the constitution of the party they were taking over? The ADC, did they look at the constitution? Because now we are being pointed, it's being pointed out to us that, look, you cannot become a national officer of this party unless you have been a financial member for 1 year.
Yeah.
And did they see that? And then we are now seeing officers of that same party, somebody at the level of deputy national chairman who ought to step in if the chairman is unavoidably absent, saying that I was not consulted, I am not part of it. We are seeing somebody who is the highest ranking elected officer of the party in the National Assembly saying that I was not consulted, I'm not part to it. It means that due diligence was not, it could be that due diligence was not done. It could be that they did not study the constitution of the party they were taking over before they did the takeover. Maybe they were in a hurry, whatever, or maybe, like they are some people are insinuating, that the people who are now coming up to challenge the takeover of the party by Atiku and the others are being sponsored by opponents just to unhinge the opposition. Those people are being instigated. I read somewhere that the people who could not afford 3 square meals now being able to pay senior advocates of Nigeria to file cases for them in court, that you should know that there is a piper that is dictating the tunes. It may be possible. But even if that is the case, you can't rule it out in politics. Because political parties, politicians look for opportunities to have an edge over their opponents, and which is legitimate. We are contesting for the same prize. So if I find a means of outsmarting you to get the prize, I will do so. So what we see that is happening to the ADC now, if it is the ADC that has the opportunity to do it to APC, they will do so. So we can't criminalize ADC for looking at cracks, seeing cracks, and exploiting them. If it is a ADC that has the opportunity, it will use it. We have seen how PDP, when it was the ruling in power, how it also exploited cracks in the opposition parties, and that party at a point had over 30 governors. Yes, and the president then, retired General Olusegun Obasanjo, came out and said, what is wrong with that? It's democracy. Freedom of expression, freedom of movement, freedom of association. So there's nothing wrong with that. He said it openly and is on record. So now, if the same thing is happening now in another direction, the same person can come out now to say that we are having a one-party state. Because at that time when it happened with the PDP, nobody's cried one-party state. So I think it is politics being played by the politicians, and either in support of ADC or in support of APC, it is politics. And as far as it is within the bounds of the law, I don't think there is anything to worry about.
Okay, so talking about the law and the Constitution as well as the Electoral Act of 2026 now, you did say earlier that INEC wasn't there. And they have too many cases pending before courts, appeal courts, Supreme Court, and yet they went ahead with the convention. Would that not be a repeat of what happened to the likes of Makinde for the PDP convention that they had in Ibadan, which the court later declared that it was null and void? Do you see that happening to the ADC as well at the end of the day?
It could happen because the groundworks are already laid. The court said, the appeal court said, maintain the status quo ante bellum. And that is what has been interpreted disjointedly, either here or there. There is a difference between status quo and status quo ante bellum. Status quo means the existing situation. Yeah. Status quo ante bellum means the previous situation before this litigation. Yeah, before the situation before you brought this matter to court. That is the matter that you want the court to adjudicate upon now. Before you brought it to court, what was the situation? Go and maintain that situation so that nobody at the end of the day is shortchanged. While we are trying to sort out this problem, let the previous situation remain. So now it depends on how it is interpreted. Fortunately, they have gone to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will tell us who is correct, whether the people who are interpreting to say, no, the status quo antebellum or status quo is at the point when David Mark and the others took over the leadership of ADC, or no, the status quo antebellum is when the issue of taking over, that is a matter in court now, when it happened, in which case it was when the Gombe of a man was the deputy national chairman. He has said he did not resign, but there are some documents showing that he actually resigned. But he has said that those documents are forged, they were not resignation documents, and that letter of resignation that was presented now happened months after. How can somebody resign today and you are tendering the letter 4 months after? Why not immediately? So those are issues that the courts will look at. If eventually the court now declares the convention held by Atiku and the others, David Mark and the others, illegal, then they will have themselves to blame. They will have to start looking for what to do at that point in time. Are they going to go to another political party? Are they going to drop out of the 2027 presidential race, or what? We have to wait for the court. They may think that it is likely. You know, they have lawyers. We have senior advocates of Nigeria, and these people have they have the resources to pull together 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 senior advocates, and people will argue this way or that way. And don't forget that the law is an ass. Anyone who has the resources, the financial capabilities, and the connections can ride on it. So it reminds me of a story that has been told of when Chief Bola Bolawole was the premier of the Western region, and Chief Ladoke Akintola was his deputy. And they had a case against a family. And Chief Bolawole was saying that, let's go to court. The family was going to court. And Ladoke Akintola said, no, sir, don't let us go to court. Chief Bolawole said, we have the best lawyers who can handle this case. Chief Ladoke said, it is true, we have the best lawyers. But don't forget, the family that has gone to court has taken a lawyer. And that lawyer is a friend of the judge. So it is the person who knows the judge that knows the law. So you never can tell where the ADC people are coming from, or where the APC people, any one of them, where they are coming from. Maybe the same issue of the 1960s. Maybe it's still going to repeat, where the person who knows the judge is the person who knows the law, or however it is, or whether the law is going to be an act, and where any one of them is going to ride. But what is sure now is that since they have gone to court, and it is the court that will determine. So it is what the court says that I think INEC will accept. Now INEC is trying to be neutral of the case, even though that neutrality is being interpreted to mean partisanship. It is saying that we are not recognizing the Mark, we are not recognizing the other side until the court has decided. You are in court, so let the court decide.
Oh, okay. The timetable for the election is already out, and time is of essence when you look at the breakdown of the timetable. With the situation on ground, the Supreme Court will be hearing that particular case again on the 22nd of April. Do they have the luxury of time when you look at the timetable of INEC?
They don't have, and that is where the problem comes from. You see, this timetable began to suffer hiccup when INEC tinkered with it.
After the signing of the Electoral Act?
Yes, I would say when they said that we're going to have this election so and so time, we said, no, it is going to coincide with this festival, it's going to coincide with our festival, and they had to readjust it. So it was moved forward in such a way that it reduced the leg room that the political parties have to put their hands together. So that is one of the places where the problem started from. And for parties that were still trying to put their foot on ground, it became an issue. And that issue became compounded by the fact that now they have all these factions and they have all this problem of people dragging this and people dragging that. Assuming they don't have the problem of these factions and things like that, they will still have been able to maneuver within the time frame left. But now, if the court decides against them, what do? Well, except, of course, if the court decides in their favor that, okay, the Bema people, they legally and correctly took over ADC. They are the recognized leadership of the party, and INEC should go ahead and accept them and recognize them. They will still be able, within the time frame, to run around and get their acts together. Maybe the party, in fact, the Electoral Act allows for consensus. They can come together, sit down, instead of doing a convention and say, okay, we have a consensus, and these are our candidates. So it's possible. So if they find out they don't have the luxury of time to start campaigning, to start doing all this and that, going to Eagle Square or going to National Assembly, National Stadium, they can settle for consensus, sit in a room and decide these are our candidates, and then submit the list to INEC. If they scale this order of legal rigmarole of I am the leader, you are the leader. That is the important thing now.
Okay, when you look at the composition of these political bigwigs in the ADC at the moment, and as we speak, we have Atiku there. I read on the front page of a particular newspaper this morning that he said the 2027 presidential election will be his last outing. So that's for Atiku Abubakar. We have Kwankwaso there. We have Peter Obi there. We have Rotimi Amici there. So this idea of consensus that you have raised, Atiku, that I know, is very, very ambitious. And since he already said that 2027 will be his last outing, would he be flexible enough to give the ticket to somebody else, maybe Kwankwaso or Peter Obi? No, so how would they work together as a team at the end of the day to actually wrestle power from the APC?
It's easy. It's easy from my own point of view.
If they are willing to sacrifice.
If they are willing to be objective.
Objective, okay.
Now, who has been the closest to the presidency out of all of them? Is Atiku. I am not a supporter of Atiku. I'm not politically partisan, though I'm a political animal. Who has been the closest to this prize that you people are trying to snatch? It is Atiku. He had been elected governor, even though he didn't serve. Then he had been vice president twice. Whatever problems he may have with his principal, General Obasanjo, is another thing entirely. He had been the closest. And apart from that, in 2003, if he had followed the advice of his supporters, the governors who were rooting for him, he could have removed the seat from Obasanjo's something. He could have been the candidate of the PDP in 2003 instead of Obasanjo. So he has been the closest to the prize. So on that, I will give it to him. Number two, in the last election, or in the previous elections, all the elections for the presidency, who, out of all these people that we mentioned, had been closest to winning the election? It has been Atiku. Whether when he contested against Obasanjo, when he contested against Yaradua, when he contested against Jonathan, when he contested against Buhari, he had been the closest. And he has been the one that has contested more times than anyone. Okay, now, the last election, this last election that threw up, yes, threw out Obi. Did Obi garner more votes than Atiku?
No.
Atiku garnered more votes. Obi came second, Atiku came, Obi came third. So there is no comparison. From my own point of view, there is no, when you look at all the statistics, there is no comparison. And then when you look at age is on the side of Obi. Age is not on the side of Atiku. So age is on the side of Obi. So he still he's a younger person. He still have enough time on his hand. The only thing I think they can do is to get Atiku committed to doing only one term, so that it won't be that he's going to do 8 years and they have to wait for 8 years or whatever. If he commits, although I don't know whether he will, because in the past he was said to have refused to commit in 2019 when everybody was tired of Buhari, and it was sounded out, will you come in and complete the term of Buhari just one term? Yeah, I was told he said no. From what we heard, he said no, that if he becomes the president, he will serve his constitutionally allowed 2 terms. So maybe now, maybe not. Well, whether he commits to 1 term or not, within the ADC, I think that Atiku is more likely
to give the APC a fight for their money.
Yes, than Obi. I think they should concede it to Atiku, and maybe Obi should be the running mate. Yes, I think that if they can do that consensus, then they can quickly begin to put their house in order, and if whether within the ADC or whatever party they move into, if they can agree on that, let Atiku be the presidential candidate, let Obi be the running mate. Let them find something else for Kwankwanso and all the others. Maybe this should go to the Senate and possibly become Senate leader or Senate president or whatever. Something like that.
Well, okay, I'm sure you must have taken your time to listen to some of these men at the convention that took place in Abuja on Tuesday. And these are people that are not strained to power. They have had opportunities to serve the country, to serve their states at different times in the history of the country. But have you been able to pinpoint at anything in terms of service, in terms of value, in terms of programs that the ADC is bringing to the table to change the narrative in the country as against what we have seen before?
No. See, Nigeria's politics is not about service. Nigeria's politics is not about service. Our politicians are not concerned about service. They are concerned about their personal interest. I have been privileged to move very close to some of them in the corridors of power, and I have seen that they only want, one of them even said he is in politics for his own self-interest. That when I said I was defining politics to him as the art or science of service to the people, he said, no, sir. He said, I'm in politics for my own self-interest. Nobody sent me. Yes. He said, if the people benefit, so be it. If they don't benefit, that is their problem. If you want to benefit from politics, come into politics. Yes, he said so to me. And when you look at them, it is basically is their mindset, their worldview. It is not about service. If it is about service, what is their manifesto? Now you even ask yourself, okay, what is their manifesto? What are they going to do now? Instead of this infighting, they should be selling their party. They should be telling us the manifesto. This is what we are going to do. This is what we are going to do differently. Okay, there is no power supply. This is how we are going to solve the problem of power supply that this government is not solving. Is unable to solve according to what we are hearing. Okay, insecurity is still ravaging. Okay, this is what we will do differently from what the government is doing. Okay, a government is going about borrowing. Okay, we will not borrow. This is what we do. They are not telling us the policies that will set them apart from the current government. They are only interested in cornering power. In fact, I am afraid that they may be like the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, who only wanted power. And when he got the power, he didn't know what to do with it. So these people, when they get power, when Atiku gets power, will he know what to do with it? Is it then that he will begin to gather people and begin to run and say, come, what do we do? This thing has come, what do we do with it? So they have not actually shown to Nigerian people what they will do differently. Okay, now, the other time when they were campaigning during 2023, we had 2022, 2023, we had them say, all the major parties, Atiku, Obi, they said they will remove fuel subsidy.
Subsidy, yeah.
They said they will remove it immediately they get into office. Now, when the person who won Tinubu
removed it.
They started crying. Okay, we now asked them, but when they were told that you said it yourself, we would have done it differently. How? How? Where is the how of it? You will do it differently. No, you can't walk the talk. Tell us how you will do it. So the politics of Nigeria is not the politics of service. It's the politics of cornering power. And then when they corner the power, to what use do they put it? It is to selfish ends. And that's what we have seen. It's very unfortunate. It is this party that is the power now, APC, that is trying to do something. I may not agree with all their policies, but we can see...
Is the party doing enough?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. If you look at what we need, if you look at the sovereign of the people, you will say that the party is not doing enough because the sovereign is still there is much. But if you look at where we are coming from, if you look at what would have been if they are not doing what they have done, then you may...
But the mess that the current government is clearing was also created by the same party.
Yes, you see, it was created by the same party, but is it by the same person? That is where I disagree with some people.
He sold his candidate to Nigerians.
Yes, you can help somebody to get a job. Can you help him to do the job? I have helped people to get jobs that they mess up when they get there. And I have to go and apologize. It's not, I'm sorry, I recommended this person. We sign reference form for people. I'm a pastor in a church. They will come to say the clergyman must sign. The clergyman has signed now. The person goes there and messes up. What do I do? I have to go and apologize. In some cases, I've even paid. I've paid money because the person I recommended messed up. The person I recommended allowed the company to suffer loss. I paid. And Tinubu is paying political capital for for the person he recommended. That's why a lot of people are blaming him that you brought this man. So you must also, that's the political capital that he's paying. And he cannot come out and say what he had seen when he got there. My brother, when you are outside government, you can't see a lot of things. It is when you get inside. I have been in positions to see with governors and people like that. When you get inside, it is now that we begin to see things. And you can't talk. There are so many things you see that you cannot talk because of your own participation. Because
in the previous government.
In the previous government, because you are liable, you are precariously liable to the person who is there because you played a role in bringing the person there. You can talk to the person in camera, but you can't talk openly. So that is what the Yoruba people call iso inu eku. You have to bear
This your statement is very deep.
Yes, you have to bear it. So that is why I don't personally blame the president, the current president, for the mismanagement of the country by the person he recommended. Okay, assuming he knew that person will not perform very well, did he also know that he himself that has recommended this person, that backed this person to become president, did he know that he himself will be rubbished? They rubbished him. They pushed him aside. The same Buhari said that we can't have two national presidents, two national leaders in the party. That as president is the national leader. And that was the title they gave to Tinubu. And
even though it was not constitutional.
Yes, it was. But he removed the openly. Very, very embarrassing. And Tinubu kept quiet. Are you saying that Tinubu was happy with the way he was treated by the Buhari administration? Are you saying that he played a role in all their policies? Somebody who at a particular point in time could not even have access to Buhari himself. So why do we blame him?
Okay, so back to our issue now of ADC convention and, of course, what they are bringing to table to change the narrative, to change the situation of the country. As electorate now, what should we start doing? We have ADC, we have PDP, we have APC. And when you look at all these parties and the major players who are playing the game of politics in there, there is really no difference between Coke and Fanta. So as eligible voters, as Nigerians who are going to decide their fate, what should we do to ensure that at the end of the day, it will not be business as usual? Because I know some people are watching right now, they are just waiting for the right time for the political class to come, give them money, they trade their votes, and at the end of the day, when these politicians get to power, you cannot question them because you already collected money.
Let me say that the difference between Coke and Fanta is their color. Their color is the difference. And then the number of cubes of sugar. Maybe one has 10, another one has 12. So if you are diabetic, you must be careful not to even go near any of the two because they are dangerous. The political party, the difference between them is just the name. It's just the name. There is nothing. They are all members of the same political class. They are all members of the same elite. They are all members of the same ruling class that has ruled this country, let's say, from 1999. That is why it is easy for them to cross from one party to the other. There is no ideological basis in any of the political parties. So when you move, you immediately acclimatize because they are the same. So we need to understand that when they say it's turning Nigeria to one party, it's turning Nigeria to one party. I say Nigeria has always been a one-party state now. It's the same party, but different branches. The same house with different rooms. The same, different fingers of the same leprous hand. That's what we have always had. So I am not taken in by these rhetorics of it's turning to Nigeria into a one-party state. Nigeria has always been a one-party state. All the politicians are the same. They have the same ideological bent. They have the same. In fact, interestingly, when you look at it carefully, they are all friends. And when you look at it carefully, they have all interacted here or there or the other time. It is only when they are fighting over the particular issue that you tend to have the impression that they are not united. Outside of that, they are all the same. They are all political associates. They are all business partners, and most of them attend the same social clubs and things like that. So don't allow them to confuse you to think that they are different. They are not different. What we should now, as Nigerians, be doing is that what exactly do we want? So whether it is Tinubu that is there, or whether it is an opposition party that comes about, what exactly do we want? We want security. Let us demand security. We want an end to insecurity. Let us demand power supply. Let us demand that we want good education facilities. I was reading a report overnight about why Iran has been able to stand up to the U.S. It's because of the education, the quality education they have given to their citizens. That in the past 10 years, Iranians have been coming among the first 3, the first 4, the first 5, in fact, the best students in mathematics. That they have so much trained their people in science, in technology, in engineering, in mathematics, to the point that they are the ones designing all these ballistic missiles, all these drones that they are using. It's not that they are buying them. If they are buying them, they will have closed their venue. How are we doing our own education here? The other time, ASU was threatening to go on strike again. We don't have quality education. How can you develop this country without quality education? It has been stated and it has been proved beyond reasonable doubt that no country can develop beyond the level of its education. You can't develop, you can't rise beyond the level of your education. And what is the level of our education? I am a visiting lecturer in a private university. I weep each time I teach them. They don't know nothing, and they don't want to know. You give them a syllabus of 14 topics. It's too many. Reduce it. You have taught just 5 topics out of 14. They are telling you that's enough. How many? And then you say, okay, you struggle to teach about 7 and 8. They say, give us AOC. It was proven that I first of all had AOC. I said, what is AOC? I attended University of Ife. I attended University of Ibadan. I attended University of Lagos. I never heard of AOC. I heard from them AOC. I said, what's AOC? They said, area of concentration. So you need area of concentration.
But the leaders are not bothered about all this.
They are not bothered. How can we develop? That's what I'm saying. When our education is this poor, when our education is this neglected, how can this country develop? How can our economy pick up? Go to Singapore. How did Singapore manage to develop to a world-class economy? It is through education.
But would you blame the politicians, the people themselves? Are they asking tangible questions? Are they demanding for good governance from these politicians? Or they are just being taken for granted?
The people don't have to demand. In Singapore, what happened? When Singapore was ejected from the Malaysian Federation, the leaders were the ones that came together to say, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And they said, okay, education. In China, how have they been able to erase poverty within a generation? Education.
Yeah, but these ones are just coming together to grab power and make money.
Those who are in power, those who want to grab power, is the same thing. That is our tragedy.
Then we don't have any other option then.
Yes,
because they are same of the same.
Yes, that is why when people are saying that there's a difference between this or that, I say, no, that is not the problem. My problem is not that we have a one-party state or we don't have a one-party state. My problem is whether it is Atiku that is there or it's Tinubu that is there. Let the man that is there be there, as far as I'm concerned. Let him have his 8 years so that we don't. Let us tell him what he should be doing. Let us say what we want. When you bring Atiku again, or you bring anybody again, and you don't tell him what you want, he will come now and begin to cancel what this man has been doing for 4 years. He will come now and begin to reset the goalpost, shift the goalpost, and we will be back to square one. Let this man that has started in 4 years complete his 8 years, so that the rotational presidency, this movement of power from north to south, that is allowing for some level of stability in the polity. Let it continue. Because one of the problems we had was that power must rotate. So if power is rotating, let it rotate. That was the problem that scattered the PDP, because they did not want power to rotate to the south. They wanted power, and it's this problem that this Atiku and the Mark themselves caused. So, and that is why they have this problem they are having now. So they are roasting in the fire that they kindled themselves.
Okay, as we wrap up this conversation now, do you see the ADC at all being strong enough to give the APC a fight for its money in 2027 presidential election?
I don't see how they can do that, except they are able to come together. Maybe when the court decides, then they will know which way to go. They will be able to call the Bala Gombe of a guy. They can sit down and do something. Or, just like we have in the PDP now the PDP issue has been resolved. We know the authentic PDP, and the authentic PDP, they are going on with their business. So maybe when we know the authentic ADC, we will know whether they are in a position to give the current government a run for their money. Or maybe if it is the Atiku people, so be it. Then they will continue. They will now continue from where they have stopped. But if it is Bala and his people, maybe Atiku and others will now have to sit down with him and negotiate. And then if they can still form if they can still iron out their differences, they can form a political party and they can give this present government a run for their money.
All right, that's a fine place to end the conversation this morning with Bola Bolawole, journalist and political observer on the just concluded ADC National Convention. The 2027 elections is almost here, and one will be looking to see if indeed ADC will be the formidable opposition to actually wrestle power from the current government led by President Bola Tinubu of the All Progressives Congress. We'll take a very short break at this moment. When we come back, Adebimpe and Joy will be taking you through their conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.